and welcome to the Story Shed. And tonight I'm going to be reading you a popular and famous story which has been around for a very, very long time. And you probably know it. It's the story of Cinderella. It is a story that at one point, a couple of years ago maybe, I actually helped to adapt into a play, into a pantomime. And not only that, I was in the pantomime as one of the ugly sisters. And I still have the dress and wig to prove it. And you never know, I might turn up here in the Story Shed in the dress and wig. Right, so in the meantime, I'm going to read you the story of Cinderella. So sit back and relax. Once upon a time, a girl named Ella lived with her stepmother and two stepsisters. Poor Ella had to work all day long so the others could rest. It was she who had to wake up every morning when it was still dark and cold to light a fire. It was she who cooked the meals. It was she who kept the fire going. The poor girl could not stay clean from all the ashes and cinders by the fire. "Ooh, what a mess!" her two stepsisters laughed. And this is why they called her Cinderella. One day big news came to town. The king and queen were going to have a ball. It was time for the prince to find a bride. All of the young ladies in the land were invited to come. They were wild with joy. They would wear their most beautiful gown and fix their hair nicely. Maybe the prince would like them. Now, at Cinderella's house, she had extra work to do. She had to make two brand new gowns for her stepsisters. "Faster!" shouted one stepsister. "You call this a dress?" screamed the other. "Oh dear," said Cinderella. "When can I—" The stepmother marched into the room. "When can you what?" "Well," said the girl, "when will I have time to make my own dress for the ball?" "You!" yelled the stepmother. "Who said you were going to the ball?" "What a laugh!" said one stepsister. "Such a mess!" They pointed at Cinderella, and all of them laughed. Cinderella said to herself, "When they look at me, maybe they see a mess. But I'm not that way, and if I could, I would go to the ball." Now, soon the time for the stepmother and stepsister's leave came, and they went off to the big party. Their fine carriage came to the door. The stepmother and stepsisters hopped inside, and off they went. "Goodbye," called Cinderella. "Have a good time." But her stepmother and stepsisters did not even turn around to see her. "Ah, me," said Cinderella sadly. The carriage rode down the street. She said aloud, "I wish I could go to the ball too." Then poof! And all of a sudden in front of her was a fairy. "Are you called?" said the fairy. "Did I?" said Cinderella. "Who are you?" "Why, your fairy godmother, of course. I know your wish, and I have come to grant it." "But," said Cinderella, "my wish is impossible." "Excuse me," said the fairy godmother in a huff. "Did I not just show up out of thin air? Do you call that nothing? Are you not entertained and impressed?" "Yes, you did turn up out of thin air," said Cinderella. "Then let me be the one to say what is possible or not." "Well, I think you know I want to go to the ball." She looked down at her dirty clothes. "But look at me." "Yes, you do look a bit of a mess, child," said the fairy godmother. "Even if I had something nice to wear," said the girl, "I would have no way to get there." "Oh, dear me, dear me, dear me! All of this is possible," said the fairy. With that, she tapped her wand on Cinderella's head. At once, Cinderella was all clean. She was dressed in a beautiful blue gown. Her hair was set up high on her head inside a golden band. "This is wonderful," said Cinderella. "Who said I was done?" said the fairy godmother. She tapped her wand again. At once, a beautiful carriage came to be with a driver and 4 white horses. "Am I dreaming?" said Cinderella, looking round her. "It is as real can be," said the fairy godmother. "But there is one thing you must know." What is that?" "All of this lasts only till midnight. Tonight, at the stroke of midnight, it will be all over. Absolutely all over. Everything will go back to how it was before." "Then I must be sure to leave the ball before midnight," said Cinderella. Good idea. Very sensible. Leave before midnight," said the fairy godmother. She stepped back. "My work is done." And with that, the fairy godmother was gone. Now, Cinderella looked around and thought, did that even happen? But there she stood in a fine gown with a golden band in her hair, and there was a driver and 4 horses waiting. "Going?" said the driver. She stepped into the carriage, and they were off. Over at the ball, the prince did not know what to think. "Why do you have that sad look on your face?" the queen said to her son. "Look around you. You could not ask for finer maidens than these." "I know, mother," said the prince. Yet he knew something was wrong. He'd met many of the young women, yet after he said hello, one by one he could find nothing else to say. "Look!" Someone pointed to the front door. "Who is that?" All heads turned. Who was that lovely maiden stepping down the stairs? She held her head tall and looked as if she belonged, but nobody knew her. "There is something about her," said the prince to himself. "I will ask her to dance." And he walked over to Cinderella. "Have we met?" said the prince. "Well, I'm pleased to meet you now," said Cinderella with a bow. "I feel as if I know you," said the prince. "But of course that is impossible." "Many things are possible," said Cinderella, "if you wish them to be true." The prince felt a leap in his heart, and he and Cinderella danced. When the song was over, they danced again, and then they danced again, and yet again. Soon the other maidens at the ball grew jealous. "Why is he dancing all the time with her?" they said. "How rude!" But all the prince could see was Cinderella. They laughed and talked, and they danced some more. In fact, they danced for so long that Cinderella did not see the clock. "Dong!" said the clock. Cinderella looked up. "Dong!" went the clock again. She looked up again. "Oh my!" she cried out. "It's almost midnight." "Dong!" rang the clock. "Oh, why does that matter?" said the prince. "Dong!" called the clock. "I must go," said Cinderella. "Dong!" went the clock. "But we just met," said the prince. "Why leave now?" "Dong!" rang the clock. "I must go," said Cinderella, and she ran to the steps. "Dong!" said the clock. "I cannot hear you," said the prince. "The clock is too loud." "Dong!" rang the clock. "Goodbye," said Cinderella. Up the stairs she ran. "Dong!" went the clock. "Please stop for a moment," said the prince. "Oh dear," said Cinderella, as one glass slipper fell off her foot on the stair, but she kept running anyway. "Dong!" said the clock. "Please wait a moment," said the prince. "Dong!" rang the clock. "Goodbye." Cinderella turned one last time, and then she rushed out of the door. "Dong!" And then the clock was quiet, which was a relief. It was midnight. "Wait!" called the prince. He picked up her glass slipper and rushed out the door. He looked around, but could not see her blue dress anywhere. "This is all I have left from her," he said, looking down at the glass slipper. He saw that it was made in a special way, in a way that it would only fit one foot and no other. "Somewhere there is the other glass slipper," he said, "and when I find it, I will find her too, and then I will ask her to be my bride." From hut to hut, from house to house went the prince. travelling further and further afield, but having no success. One young woman after another tried to fit the slipper on their foot, but none could fit it, and so the prince had moved on. At last the prince came to Cinderella's house. "He's coming," called one stepsister as she looked out the window. "At the door," screamed the other stepsister. "Quick," yelled the stepmother. "Get ready. One of you must be the one to fit your foot in the slipper, no matter what." The prince knocked. The stepmother threw open the door. "Come in," she said. "I have two lovely daughters for you to see." The first stepsister tried to place her foot in the glass slipper. She tried hard, but it just would not fit. Then the second stepsister tried to fit her foot inside. She tried and tried and tried with all her might, but it didn't work. "Are there no other young women in the house?" said the prince. "None," said the stepmother. "Then I must go," said the prince. "Maybe there is one more," said Cinderella, stepping into the room. "I thought you said there were no other young women here," said the prince. "None who matter," said the stepmother in a hiss. "Come here," said the prince. Cinderella stepped up to him. The prince got down on one knee and tried the glass slipper on her foot. It fit perfectly. Then from her pocket Cinderella took out something. It was the other glass slipper. "I knew it," he cried. "You are the one." "What?" shouted the stepsister. "Not her!" screamed the other stepsister. "This cannot be," yelled the stepmother. But it was too late. The prince knew that Cinderella was the one. He looked into her eyes. He did not see the cinders in her hair or the ashes on her face. "I have found you," he said. "And I have found you," said Cinderella. And so Cinderella and the prince were married, and they lived happily ever after. And that is the end of my story, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. This story of rags to riches. And if you have enjoyed it, then please let me know by emailing to thestoryshed@gmail.com. That's thestoryshed@gmail.com. And I look forward to hearing from you and getting your emails. And for the time being, bye bye. Bye bye. Take care. Bye. Bye.